homeschool families are gearing up for a fresh season of formal learning activities and homeschool routines. Before you commit to a plan, I want to offer you a different way to approach it all, a way to create a workable, flexible routine that really honors both your needs and your kids' rhythms. If you do, you'll feel more satisfied and less stressed in November or February. Why those months? Because those are common overwhelm months for homeschool moms. When you honor what matters most to you, you don't get burned out. But first, before you engage in creating a routine, you need to do a time audit to understand how you're really spending your days. This was revolutionary for me. Who knew that I couldn't pack that many activities, that many read-alouds, that many science experiments and extracurriculars into a 12-hour day? Also, 12 hours is definitely too long. In this video, I'll walk you through the time blocking process and share a simple, peaceful time block day you can customize for your homeschool family. Welcome to the Homeschool Mom Wellness and Mindset channel, where overwhelmed homeschool moms come to reclaim their voice, rediscover their spark, and lead their homeschool life from the inside out. I'm Teresa Wiedrick, graduated homeschool mom turned certified life coach, and your guide to showing up whole, grounded, and fully present in your homeschool journey. Let's be honest, you didn't start homeschooling to lose yourself in the crazy of curriculum and cleaning and comparison. And here's what I know for sure. You don't have to sacrifice who you are to be a good enough homeschool mom. If you're tired of burnout, second guessing, or that nagging feeling you're doing it all wrong, this space is for you. Every week we talk about the real stuff, the overwhelm, the guilt, the beautiful memories, the breakthroughs, and most of all, how to nurture you alongside your kids, because homeschooling is a deeply engaging season. But losing yourself isn't the price of admission. This is your permission slip to stop performing and start becoming your fullest, most authentic self. Let's do this together. Here's an example of a peaceful, rhythm-based homeschool day using time blocks, not a rigid schedule. It's built around focus areas, or some people call it anchors. It's not built around the clock. And yes, it includes room for margin, for movement, and your wellness activities. P.S. These are ideas for your peaceful, rhythm-based homeschool day. Who you are and who your kids are creates your homeschool. So I can't give you one that would perfectly enable you to live your most meaningful life or enable your kids to have the most meaningful education. So use the ideas that I offer you here just as ideas. If you want to see how I actually did my homeschool routine for one of my almost 24 years and all the things that I included for each of my 4 kids, actually, I think at the time I was only homeschooling 3 of my kids, then you can watch in the link below. So here is a possible routine that you could incorporate into your homeschool days. And this is all taken from my recently released time blocking guide that my homeschool daughter, graduated homeschool daughter turned grown up, her and I created this. It's a time blocking guide. This is the non-colored version. If you want to guess what the color is, you're probably right. It's a blue-green if you've got a colored printer. But this comes from my time blocking guide. So what you might want to do is grab the blank template and fill in the anchor moments in the day that are already working for you. So if you know that every morning at 7 o'clock, you get up, you have your coffee, you do your journaling or whatever things you do for your morning routine, then you prep breakfast or you pull the cereal boxes out and the milk and you get ready for the kids to wake up. You do a little chores or prep time, or you go for a little walk to the mailbox, or you don't do any of these things because the kids are awake before you are. Well, anyways, whatever you're doing in the morning, write it down. If it's a workable time in your day, then already incorporate it into the time block guide. This is the sheet that you'll see, and you can literally block off the time in the day. So what one mom might do one mom, not necessarily you, maybe you, 6 to 8 a.m., your morning routine. And if you're giggling along with me right now saying, there ain't no way I'm getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning before the kids are awake. Or maybe you're saying to yourself, I can't get up before the kids. Somebody always gets up with me. Your routine, you do you. But suppose these things as a possibility. Ultimately, the goal is to incorporate meaningful blocks of time to do the things that matter most to you. So 6 to 8 a.m., your morning routine, breakfast, basic chores, light prep. 8 to 10 a.m., homeschool block number 1. Maybe you focus on subjects like math or reading or writing, or maybe you want to focus on lighter, more engaging conversation bits like science or history, geography, a read aloud. Maybe you're doing your morning basket then. Homeschool block number 1 could be between 8 and 9:45. Then 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. could be your movement time or free play. When kids have time to express themselves with their physical bodies, when they move around and jump, or whether they're really active outdoor kids or not, when they have expended the physical energy, they're more able to be present for their emotional, mental energy. So 10, 11 o'clock, movement break. Then 11 to 12:30, you can do a homeschool block too. Maybe that's when you incorporate a science block or a history, geography, languages. Maybe it's a read aloud time. I could go into so much detail on the possible ways you could incorporate different things at different times or what kind of topics you could include, but I'll do that later in the summer when I'm offering more for newer homeschool moms too. One thing that I did do consistently for my kids is to flip between 2 science blocks in a week and 2 history blocks in a week. But more on that at the end of the summer. So between 12:30 and 1:30 can be your lunch or cleanup or making snacks for the afternoon. Then from 1:30 to 3:30, you could have a homeschool block 3 or your quiet afternoon time. It could be quietly reading together, or it could be choosing to be together in the same room and quietly reading independently while playing a Spotify playlist. I did that a lot. In the middle of winter, when the fire is going, a Harry Potter soundtrack playing in the background, that energy, that music, that ambiance is perfect for quiet reading. Or maybe this is the time where your kids want to do a project and you can have a project time for yourself. Quiet time to write or to do something creative. Then 3 to 5 p.m. can be your flex time. Maybe that's your extracurricular time, hanging out with friends, going to the park. Maybe you want to run errands or do appointments then. 5 to 7 can be your dinner and family time. Usually that is a very intense time. Many moms share with me that during this time, they don't actually want help from the kids to prep dinner. If you are the mom who wants help, well, that's a great opportunity for the kids to learn how to do all the things in the kitchen. Or if they're young enough and too much energy in the kitchen, maybe that's the time you can put on an audiobook, or they can listen to a podcast, or perhaps they can have their quiet screen time. Maybe that's the time of day where they have access to Duolingo, or a horrible histories video on YouTube, or a documentary. You can guarantee that if there are limits on screen time, kids will take you up on that screen time and they will be quietly engaged. 7 to 9 p.m. could be the evening routine, obviously. Baths and story time and winding down, but maybe asking dad to be part of that so you can take a quiet breather. Or add an audiobook instead of reading aloud to them at the end of the evening. If you don't have access to dad, you can also meditate or pray. Quiet reading in bed, encourage the kids to do quiet reading in bed before they fall asleep. So caveat, I don't think there's one right way to homeschool. I don't believe there's one right curriculum. And I don't believe there's one right method either. There's definitely not one right routine. But the one thing I can tell you to get clear on what is the right routine for you, does what you're doing deeply matter to you? That is all. Also, I want to direct you to compare yourself to the school system here. Yeah, I said that just this once. They typically include 180 instructional days. If you were fairly consistent with how you engaged learning activities, whether formal or informal learning activities, but you're fully engaging your kids, you're going to hit that 180 instructional days. So take a breather. You are doing enough. Also, I don't actually encourage you to compare yourself to the school system because the school system is doing what school systems do. So your goal is to raise up a child to do the thing they were meant to do. Your goal is to enable them to do that. You can't get behind when a kid pushes back or has resistance to learning something. Why? Because clearly they won't learn because you're forcing something. Also, life throws us unusual seasons when maybe we're looking after an elderly parent or some big thing happens in our lives, and we don't have a choice but to slow down or shift gears or change the routine. Sometimes life is inviting us to learn more than the formal learning opportunities found in our routine or our curriculum, like emotional regulation, building stronger, healthier relationships, instilling your wellness strategies. This interrupts formal learning opportunities. Homeschool interrupted. Accept the interruptions. I know that's not fun. I'm just going to encourage you. You need to accept the interruptions. Also, you don't have a choice. So you might as well engage them with acceptance, learn to practice flexibility, and accept what life is teaching you in this season. Your routine will always be with you, and you'll likely hit those 180 instructional days anyway. Now, before you set your time blocking works best when it reflects your values. So before you plan, take 10 minutes to reflect on these thoughts and questions. What are the 3 most important values you want your days to reflect? Which homeschool activities are essential and which are optional? How much margin do you need daily to avoid feeling rushed inside? You need transitions between activities, and definitely you need a transition before you leave the house. Ask me how I know. I learned the good old-fashioned way. Ask yourself, where do you tend to overcommit, and how can you simplify? How much nothing time do you need to feel grounded? What personal needs must you first schedule to feel balanced? They need to go in your day timer before everything. When are your kids most focused during your day? How much transition time do you need between activities? Where can you batch similar activities to create more flow in your week? And what would a peaceful, satisfying homeschool day feel like? That's the goal. And of course, be honest with yourself. Sometimes you won't have enough bandwidth to do the originally scheduled program because of something, some season, some challenge that's come into your life. So ask yourself, do I have the bandwidth to do what I'm hoping to do this year? I want to share something inspiring from Gervais, one of the moms in my Confident Homeschool Mom collective. She created a beautiful declaration of intent, a promise to homeschool with professionalism, serenity, and intention this year. Here's what she said in her own words. She said she wants to homeschool with professionalism, serenity, and intention. So then I asked her, how will you practically align this intention with your daily activities? Here's how she's putting it into practice with time blocking. I will have a set start time and end time for a school block, 9 to 1:30 p.m., with snacks, breaks, and outside time included. The 3 R's are daily non-negotiables. I'd like to focus on geography and earth science this year, so that will be an influence on our literature and historical readings, and I plan to loop them. I'd also like us all to learn how to draw, especially natural objects. I also plan to be dressed with hair and teeth brushed before 8:15. This way, we all know that mom is ready to get to work. I'm setting expectations to have morning chores and hygiene done before 8:25 so we can start our school block on time. But I'm not going to fall apart if we start a few minutes late. If it's really late, I'm going to let the dishes pile up until after lunch if I need to, because school block means school work. I'm going to start laundry after school if I wasn't able to start it after waking up. I'm resolved not to fall apart because the chores and house aren't perfectly done before 2 p.m. I applaud you, Gervais. Also, PSA to all homeschool moms, public service announcement, the chores and the house won't actually be perfectly even after your kids grow up and leave home. Ask me how I know. And yes, I cleared everything in behind here, this video. Part of the reason that it won't be tidied, even long after your kids leave, is because you will finally care anymore. But I digress. Gervais continued. After 2, the kids will help me get the house in order, go outside for gardening or nature study, or trips to the library or park. We will meet with our homeschooling buddies after every Friday morning for nature walks, or Wednesday afternoons for park days or an all-day field trip. Meals were planned, and the kids helped me prep the veggies and bake bread and stuff on Sunday afternoons, as long as I'm resolving to keep things simple and orderly. I've been practicing, and so far, it hasn't been perfect, but I'm going for a simple, serene, and charmed attitude. And a note to Gervais. I love your heartfelt declaration of intent and your thoughtful plan. I absolutely love how intentional and grounded your vision is. From setting a clear school block time to including breaks, choosing focus areas, preparing yourself every morning to signal your readiness, your commitment to simplicity, to order and serenity shines. What really stands out to me is your grace in saying, I'm not going to fall apart if we start a few minutes late, and your willingness to let some chores wait so your school block stays sacred. That kind of kindness toward yourself is exactly what helps keep homeschool life sustainable. At the same time, I gently remind you and everyone watching that not every day will feel charmed or perfectly serene. Despite having named her website Capturing the Charmed Life, I know it's not possible. And that also is 100% okay too. Some days the simple, serene, charmed attitude will feel more like messy, stressed, and just getting through. That's most definitely part of your real homeschool journey. Everyone has that element of their homeschool mom story. Remember, it's teaching you. This whole big homeschool mom life is teaching you, inviting you to grow. It's also why building margin into your schedule is so important. Space to breathe, to reset, and care for you. Margin can sometimes look like movement, or maybe a quiet moment with tea, a short walk outside, or simply breathing deeply before jumping back into the day. I want to remind everyone that wellness strategies are not a nice to have on your day timer. They are your long-term burnout prevention plan. Also, you get a seat at your homeschool table too. So deep dive into your curiosities, create space for your peace of mind. Your kids are watching and learning from how you're approaching life too. You're doing beautiful work, Gervais, and your heart-led approach is exactly the kind of homeschooling that creates connection and joy. So let me grab my pom-poms, metaphorical pom-poms. I'm cheering you on. Side note, if you would like to get your aligned homeschool reset session, it's free, it's actionable, and so clarifying. Book a conversation with me today. You'll find the link below. But Gervais wants you to know, I need to tell you, that she is my favorite client. Oh man, I love my work and I adore you, Gervais. Now let's quickly circle back to that time audit I spoke to you about. The all-important time audit. It really, really is. If you do a time audit, in other words, for just 1 week, I know this is going to sound like a lot, but just for 1 week, write everything down. Like write everything down you're doing. You know, you don't have to say, okay, brush the top part of my mouth and now I'm brushing the bottom. But you can say something like grooming 15 minutes or grooming 5 minutes or grooming half an hour. Wow. Just write everything you do during the day and do it for 1 week. This is revolutionary. Ask me how I know. This is how I shifted my unrealistic expectations in my homeschool. Just estimate how long things actually take. If your days feel packed but unproductive, a time audit really will help you see where your time is going. Note beside your time audit how you felt as you were doing that. Do you feel energized? Do you feel slow? Are you tracking your cycles? Is it influencing how you're engaging? Write down what felt meaningful. Also, write down what felt draining in your days. So you can grab that simple time audit really inside the time blocking guide, which you'll find the link to below. You can homeschool on purpose. You can feel present and satisfied many days. You really can. Time blocking isn't about squeezing in more. Oh, it's definitely not. It's getting more realistic with your time and incorporating the things that matter most to you. Also, sometimes we need to accept that we really only have 24 hours in a day. However, we have 8 hours in a day that we need to be prostrate on a bed. And every day, we need to spend a little bit of time being present with at least one of our kids. And every day, we need to spend time present and alone by ourselves, too. So you don't have enough time to instill every last knowledge bit into your child's mind today. Spoiler alert. They will have knowledge gaps unless they can mind meld with AI and Google. So don't make that the goal of your home education this year. And I think this is a conversation for another video. When you time block, you create a purposeful homeschool life. If you want to create your own rhythm, a routine that reflects your homeschool family, download this time blocking guide. For homeschool moms, a printable guide with daily and weekly templates, goal setting sheets, reflection prompts to help you homeschool with professionalism, serenity, and intention. Love those words, Gervais. Build in margins this year. Nurture yourself this year. And lean into the rhythms that honor your family's unique needs. You're creating something beautiful, one intentional block of time at a time. You got this, girlfriend.